Hey guys, welcome back. We are joined on today's episode with the first Elite 15 athlete from Canada. We were just talking about how there's been one race of Hyrox in Canada, and hopefully there's another one coming back. So this is exciting. Maria Fecik is a force to be reckoned with. Has competed in Hyrox majors and came ninth in the Nice World Champs last year. This year, she's narrowly missed out on the Elite 15 for Chicago in a absolutely stacked last chance qualifier in Barcelona. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a repeat on YouTube, and oh my God, what a race. Both the female and the males races were. But it's okay because she sent it with the lovely Jess Pettrow in Miami. You guys, I think you ran like a 57-minute doubles race, punching your way into the Elite 15 doubles at the World Champs, which I actually think we were discussing it earlier, and we think this is going to be the race that everyone's super excited about because the hype is real for this Elite 15 doubles, and everyone's watched the four qualifiers. So yeah, we're really intrigued to see how your training's going to go now for a doubles race and how your season's been, and yeah, just catch up with all things Hyrox over in Canada.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you guys about all things Hyrox.
Yes, love it, love it. Thank you for your time. Firstly, maybe we can kick off with Barcelona, the most recent race. I know it wasn't the result that you were hoping for, but do you maybe want to talk us through a little bit about the race, the preparation, if it played out how you thought it would, or if you have any idea kind of what happened? I mean, we were all watching and we were just like, how is there so many incredible athletes? So maybe you could give your insight from the race side.
Yeah, I think like you said it in the intro, there are so many amazing athletes in both the men's and women's, completely stacked, and also some people that have just gotten into Hyrox that haven't really fully explored their full potential, and then you see them show up in these races, and then they completely dominate. I think on both sides, the people that ended up podiuming weren't people that necessarily people thought they would from the get-go. So that was really
Mm.
cool to see and interesting. Like there's people all over the world that haven't experienced Hyrox yet, and that's just a testament to show that there's a lot of really, really skilled people out there and talented athletes that just haven't found the sport yet or starting to find the sport. I think that race, so Miami was the weekend before, and there was a big him and haw about whether or not I should do both or not. And after talking to my coach, he was like, I think it's a really good idea. It'd be a good primer. So I went straight from Canada to Miami, Miami to Barcelona, and didn't go home in between just because of the travel on my body. And yeah, the race was tough. It started out hot like it normally does. And yeah, my body didn't show up for me the way that I wanted it to and the way that I know it could. So those are some of the unfortunate things that just happen with racing and racing a lot. You can't be in prime and peak condition every single race, and every single race isn't going to be a great race, especially when you race a lot. So there are obviously the races that go really well, like Miami, and then you can see easily, like within a week, the next race might not go as well. And again, too, you can look at it and think about it and analyze why. But for me, like I felt ready. I felt fitness was there. It just came down to like executing, and I think it was just the humidity for me in the venue. I'm not used to it right now in Canada. It's still like 12 degrees Celsius here.
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, fair. And then also like the travel as well, because like going from Canada, going to Miami, going from Miami, going to Barcelona, like staying in different places, checking in, like I feel like all that adds up, doesn't it? It's quite a like a tough, and then trying to recover as well. Whereas if you had the chance to go home, usually if you can go
Yeah,
home, you can eat properly, you can recover well, you can sleep in your own bed.
think there's so much to be said about having like a race like in your hometown or like
Mm,
nearby. It's almost like the home court advantage. Like we had a
yeah.
race in Toronto, and that's probably the best race I had all season, but I like slept in my own bed. My family was there, my friends were like it was just like all the comforts of home and in your regular routine. And when you get thrown off, it can completely take you and like get you like your body all kind of messed up.
Mm.
Yeah. And am I right in saying that you did the Anaheim last chance qualifiers last year. Yeah.
Yes.
So did you feel like you kind of knew what to expect going into Barcelona? As in, like, I think maybe some of the girls, I don't want to speak on behalf of people, but some of the Elite 15 athletes are obviously so used to racing on the grid and not on the course. Whereas, did you feel like I've been here before? Like, I know that it's going to be
Like fighting my
crazy.
friends.
Yeah, like, or were you still just a bit like, yeah, I don't know, roll the dice, see what happens?
Yeah, I was still kind of like roll the dice. I think this year surprised me in a good way comparatively to last year. I feel like the bar in the elite field keeps getting raised kind of thing. So it's like, what would have qualified you last year time-wise doesn't even come close to cutting it this year. So it's cool to see that big jump in the sport because it pushes you to level up and be better and continue to improve. But I think like a big like I guess like a big like kind of like kick in the butt, I guess I would say, was like when I raced the major in Glasgow. It was just like I said to Anthony after, I'm like, that intensity, I've never experienced that in like an elite race before because I did a bunch of majors last season and it was like nowhere near the same amount of intensity, speed. Shouldn't say nowhere near, but like a lot more people are bringing like their A games and like really smashing and getting faster. So it was just almost like I was like, what's happening? I did not expect that.
I mean, that is mental to hear. Like, I think you can see it from like a spectator point of view. You can see that it's getting faster. You can see the times are getting faster. Everyone's, I think like, was it last year? Like everyone was getting like 104s and that was kind of getting people in the Elite 15. And now it's like people are getting like 101s, 102s, like
Yeah.
like one, we're getting near like the hour for everyone to try and get in the Elite
Get in.
15. So you can see it from the times, but yeah, from experiencing it on the track, that must be pretty crazy because like yeah, I guess you expect people to start out hot, but did they just carry on? Like as in you expected people to like slow down during the race or something? Or was it the
Um,
was it the runs or the exercises that were faster? What was
I feel like the running has gotten a lot
the
faster. Like a
running?
lot of people, I feel like we're seeing now a lot of the results. A lot of people are hitting like 104 in age group
Mm.
races and like those time domains that last year were a little more, probably less rare.
Yeah.
And said it perfectly. Like now more people are getting like 62, 61, 60 to be
Yeah.
competitive, to get in the Elite 15. And I'm like, okay, I gotta catch up somehow. But yeah, it's I think the biggest difference too at the LCQ this year versus last year is obviously there were two. So a lot of Europeans, we did have quite a few people from Europe come to the Anaheim race, but it wasn't the same like I don't know, there's something different about like the 40 or 30 group of women that were really like vying for those three spots, whereas I feel like it was a little more spread out last year because there were the two and there were two
Mhm.
opportunities. So if people didn't get it in Europe, some of them might have come or just decided not to. And we got a lot of like the North American racers obviously in the Anaheim LCQ. But yeah, just like the quality of the competition has like really, really increased and we're seeing that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
And younger athletes as well, aren't we? Like, is it
Yeah.
Emil? Was it Emil? Is that how you say her name? The girl that won the
That
last
got
chance
third.
qualifier. She
No, she
won.
came
Oh,
first.
Emil, sorry.
Is it
Yes.
Emil? Yeah. I mean, she's like another Joanna, isn't she? Like tall, skinny, like just rapid, and you're just seeing these young, like yeah, athletes now starting to come through as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say like her, Lucy Proctor, Joanna this year, like the three, like obviously her now too. It's just like I kind of wish like I found this
Mm,
sport when I was
yeah.
20 or 24, but I don't think it existed then because I'm 35 now. So it's like I'm on like the older end
Mm,
of the group and people racing and stuff. But it's like I see these amazing young women come in and I'm like, damn, imagine them in like 5 years. Like they're gonna
yeah.
be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what about Miami then? That was the week before. Like you girls were flying. Did you enjoy the race? Was it still pain cave? Some people say doubles hurts more because you're at a higher intensity. Like, how did you find it?
I feel like it's different pain caves, like individual versus doubles. the nice thing about doubles, and me and Jess spoke about this before, is like because we have really quick recovery. So if we get like 10 or 15-second break, our heart rate will drop by like 30 beats or probably 20 within that smaller time domain. So then we're like ready to go when it's our turn again. So that was a benefit. But I would say like it was definitely pain cave, but it's such a different experience because you're with your partner and you just like don't want to let them down
Mm.
at the same time. And so there were a couple times on the run where when we were talking about it after, I was almost like, man, you got to slow down. And then she's like, I almost thought the same thing I was going to say to you, but then we both didn't say anything because the other person was still going. So we're just like, suck it up, suck it up, suck it up. Okay. One thing my husband told me was like, think about every time you're running, like less than 4 minutes and you can break, less than 4 minutes and you can break. So we're doing like the laps, and I'm like, less than 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes on some of them. But it was like such a great experience. It was a tough race, and I actually felt it's funny, I actually felt probably a little more nervous than an age group race just because I had the partner that I didn't want to let down. I think there's like that
And
added component, you know?
have you raced the doubles before, or was this your first doubles race?
I actually started in Hyrox and doubles with my husband in our first year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did like New York mixed doubles and then qualified for Worlds when we were there. And we're like, what is this? And he actually showed up, he pulled up a photo the other day and we're like on the podium. And back then they would give you like little car, almost like a postcard that you qualified. So we're like
Oh,
holding
really?
up our little postcard on like the third place thing is the cute. I think such a good like glasses on. And I'm like, why am I wearing glasses? Anyway, it was like the funniest thing. But yeah, I started in mixed doubles, then went to solo, but I haven't done a super competitive doubles in a long time.
Yeah, fair. And
Oh.
did you and Jess, was this always the plan? Like when did you decide you girls were gonna team up to go and give it a go?
She actually asked me before Glasgow,
Okay.
like, would you want to do a doubles? And I'm like, let's see how Glasgow goes first.
Yeah.
Um, and then we chatted about it after, and she actually had something family event come up, and she was like, "Oh, I can't do it anymore." So I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "I'll ask a couple people, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out."
Mm.
Um, and then she came back to me like a week later, being like, "Actually, I can do it. Do you want to do it?" And so, like about a month out, actually knew somebody selling their pro women's doubles ticket, so it worked out, and I bought it from them. And then a month out, we decided like, "Okay, let's give it a shot."
Oh, I love that. And would you say your strengths are like strengths and weaknesses are similar, or you complement each other, or like you mentioned on the running, you're like, oh God, like is one of you stronger running compared to stations, or you're quite evenly matched?
That was something we were like really trying to consider before for our strategy, but I feel like we're pretty comparable for a lot of things.
Mm.
So the way we approached it was really like in the first half of the race, she would start and end stations, and the back half of the race, I would start and end stations.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then the other person would set the pace on the run. So you kind of just had to hang on to the person running, and then you start and end the station. So it's kind of like the person that start and ends is kind of more like redlining more of the race, and then you'd switched kind of at the end. And of course, that's always the plan. And if you have to change the plan, which we actually didn't, ironically. We didn't change our plan at all. Because I know sometimes you have to adapt based on how everyone you're
Mm.
feeling in the race. But there's some things I said to her, I think we need to switch for Worlds. But other than that, everything like went to plan. I found like we are pretty evenly matched in most things.
Oh,
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
nice.
And are
Yeah.
you gonna get the chance to like to train together before Worlds, or probably not? I'm
I don't think so because she's in New Jersey,
yeah.
but she's also going to Proven has a training camp that's, I believe, a month long that she actually leaves for
Wow.
tomorrow. So even if we like wanted to meet up before, I don't think it's gonna happen. But I feel like we know each other well now, and like we
Mm.
spent the weekend together, and we kind of know each other's personalities a little more now, which is nice. So, and we've already talked about things we want to switch and kind of like where we want to improve in terms of like running and try to hit a little bit faster on the runs. But yeah, so I think we'll be in good shape. And we just like it was good that we got that first race together to kind of nail out like transitions can always be awkward too when you like never raced with somebody and like height differential. I mean, we're pretty similar in height, but like for example, if you have like a very different partner in terms of height and you're trying to switch with the sandbag or like things like that that you don't really think about or you don't realize you do until you actually do it. So we have some of those things we'll iron out and then just give it a go again.
Yeah, amazing. And then can we touch on Glasgow a little bit as well? I presume when you were heading to the major, like, were you going in trying to get one of the world spots as well, or were you just going in to like compete and see how you were feeling and what happened?
I think for Glasgow, like I think there's always like the your A goal, would be to, for me anyways, would be to qualify and get a spot and not, I didn't I didn't want to have to travel to Barcelona
Yeah.
Yeah.
for like the LCQ just because of I find like living in Canada and even going to like US races are technically like international for me. So those are always like financially and then like just like the travel and all of that stuff that comes along with it. But I was willing to do kind of whichever I needed to. But I think the goal is always to like try to see where you stack up, try to get a good workout and get a sense of kind of like where people are at, and see kind of like where you're at in like the elite field. So that was really like the goal. And I think like on race day, I feel like it's happened. Like you can see like anything can happen. And some people, one thing my coach said to me was like, not everybody can have a good day that day. So you're kind of hoping like I have a good day that day. But yeah, it's kind of like one of those things I think you always go in with like the hope or intention of like, let's see if I can do this, let's see if I can pull this off. And if not, like let's see where I can come in and then continue to work on some of those areas or weaknesses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
It's
how
so hard, isn't it, to always peak on, especially I guess if you're doing a lot of Hyrox races and like to always
Yeah.
peak on a race. Like,
Yeah. It's honestly, it's so hard. And I feel like with my coach, he really focuses on like having like a pretty strong like foundation. So
mm,
you always have a certain level of fitness at a race. But of course, I think like the biggest peak is towards Worlds, but obviously mine was more closer to LCQ, but obviously we'll continue that trajectory on to Worlds.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then how do you kind of like mentally, it's racing in the elite, being at the top of the sport, it's hard, and then there's obviously pressure. You went to the last chance qualifiers. I presume that you felt like some pressure on you, internally and externally. How do you deal with that or pick yourself up after a bad race? Like, do you have any mantras or tips or how you get through it?
I think like if you asked me this at the beginning of the season, I'd probably have a different answer because I found a lot of like poor race results hit me a little harder in the beginning of the season. Or like results, let's say like that I didn't like I wanted more from my race or something like that. I think the biggest thing, like I do get super nervous before races, so that's something I'm like trying to learn how to sit with and be okay with being nervous. Like it feels like super uncomfortable for me to be nervous before a race. And a lot of it is like I like talk to my husband a lot about how I'm feeling, which is helpful. I think a big mantra that I used last year that I think is really important for a lot of people is I like the saying like why not me?
mm,
So that's like a mantra that I've like used for like the last couple years, like why not me? Why can't this be me? Um, and I think at the end of the day, like we all put in a lot of work, so it does suck when it doesn't pan out. And like
mm,
I wouldn't be honest if I said I wasn't like disappointed in Barcelona and like not getting into individual Elite 15 this year. But I have found with time that when you stop, when you don't tie so much of like your identity and worth to like a race result, it becomes less of like a less of a hit when it happens.
mm,
So I think that's like the biggest thing I've learned this year is really to like enjoy more of the process and not be so focused on always attaining the results because I think that will um drive you a little crazy because you race a lot and like I said like you can't peak for every race. Not every race is going to go the way you want it to and you might have a few quote unquote bad races in a row. So I think that's something I really learned this year. And it's really like I've really started to really focus on enjoying the process and then also just like the enjoyment of like self-improvement and getting better, like the exciting things about like getting better when with running, like how fast can I get, and like really focus on that versus like I need to go to this race, I need to run a 61, I need to get
Mm.
into the elite. Like I think that was my mentality in the first half of the season, and then I've started to shift more towards like, okay, are you still enjoying this? Like where like are we really need to focus on the process versus just like solely looking at race outcomes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
such a good way to look at it, isn't it? And then you mentioned you're running there, and obviously you also mentioned in Glasgow, like the running had just stepped up. Have you done anything to change the process for your running between like now and World Champs? Are you looking at anything different to try and build those faster speeds if people are thinking the same thing?
So a lot of our running, like with hybrid engine, is threshold based.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna retest my thresholds next week just to make sure. I haven't tested in a while, so I know it's improved. So it's like kind of finding where you're at and then making sure. I think the biggest thing is making sure you're training at the level you should be at. Like I think a lot of people hit their thresholds faster than they actually are. But and then you see that in the race, right? Like you should be hitting and running at threshold to really continue to improve that particular pace because that's usually around maybe slightly faster that you're running your races at the individual. Um, but we've been adding in like double threshold days, so double like so I'll threshold in the morning and then I might have something in the evening there's always machine thresholds in the evening, but then also like a running threshold as well, like a second session.
Wow.
And those are like my quality days, and I had one yesterday and I'm like I went for a run this morning and I was like slow, like so slow, just trying to recover. Um, so it was just like making sure that you're nailing those like quality sessions. And then when it's like the recovery run, like I'm running like 3 minutes slower. Like, and I'm kind of, to be honest, I was kind of dragging a little bit because I was pretty fatigued this morning. Um, but I think like double threshold days, to really hone in on getting comfortable, being uncomfortable in those paces,
Mm.
and continue to move that threshold window.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Painful and tiring, but makes sense. And then how long have you been with the hybrid engine or with Anthony as your coach? Has it been a little while now?
I started on their pro track last August, I think it was, August, early September. And then I started with Anthony one-on-one after Anaheim in December. So I've been with him one-on-one for like I guess it's 4 or 5 months now.
Oh, ace, yeah, yeah. And then Jess is hybrid engine as well, isn't she?
No, she's
No,
She's
she's
proven.
moved. Oh, she's moved.
she's
Oh, so
proven.
you're different now. I was gonna say, oh, you're the same team, but now you're two different teams combining.
Yeah, because she's always been with JK, I believe, from what I understand. And then JK obviously is with Anthony, so I assume it's very similar structured.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she's on the proven team with
She's one of the coaches now as well, isn't she? I think
yeah,
she's one of the proven coaches now. It's the Aussies, isn't it? It's the Aussies
yeah.
over that way.
Aussie takeover, man.
I know it's becoming an Aussie takeover. And so
Seriously.
going all the way back then, like you're obviously an incredible runner. You're incredibly strong and you're incredibly fit. But where did you start? What's your background? Is your background in running? Is it multi-sport? Is
Oh
it
my
ice
gosh.
hockey? You're Canadian, aren't you?
Yeah,
What?
like what haven't I done? So I grew up playing ice hockey.
There you
Uh,
go.
so you nailed that one.
Yeah, you get the
Different
elbows out in the
stereotype.
start tunnel.
So I played rep hockey for growing up. And then I got into it's kind of like I've done a little bit of everything. So that's why hybrid actually kind of like hybrid training actually fits my background. So I did bodybuilding for 3 years,
Oh,
uh, in my like 19 to 21 age era. And then I actually went into Ironman. So I've done full Ironman
mm.
and half Ironman. And then I went into ultra running. So then I've done like 50 mile, up to 50-mile races. And then while I was ultra training, I found out about Hyrox because my husband who also coaches as well, was training somebody. And he was like, I'm gonna do this Hyrox race. And Mike and I are like, what is that? And then that's how we figured out what it was, which I really love. I love Hyrox because I found with just like when you do one discipline, like something super endurance based, something else kind of falls, right? So if you're doing tons of running, then you don't necessarily have all the time to do like all the strength training. And so I found
Yeah.
I was kind of like I could run really far, but I was like pretty weak. Like I couldn't do push-ups and pull-ups like I used to be able to do when I was like mostly bodybuilding. So it's almost like this beautiful medium of like having strong cardiovascular fitness, having really good conditioning, but also being like strong. Am I the strongest person ever? No, but I think I'm like decently strong enough,
Mm.
A, for the sport for sure, but then in my own like life and stuff like that, like being able to do pull-ups, push-ups, like squats, cleans, deadlifts, all that stuff. Like I love that empowering feeling of being a strong female athlete. So I always find there's like this beautiful mix. So kind of like my two old worlds kind of like
Coming
married
together.
to had a baby and here we are.
But do you find it crazy? And maybe this is like the interesting part for you because you've come from like endurance running, I'd say, like the Ironmans, the ultras. Like, have you ever worked on like fast speed? Like, have you ever tried to run a before Hyrox? Had you ever tried to do like a fast 5K, a fast 10K? Had you been down the track, or is that not really? Is this something new to you? This whole like trying to get your 1K efforts on
Yeah,
step.
not really. Like this
Mm,
is this is newer to me. I did some like half marathon
mm,
uh, runs and stuff like that, but they were never anything like overly fast or spectacular. And then funny enough, last year or 2 years ago, I hadn't trained for a half marathon. There's one locally, and I'm like, yeah, let's see where we're at. I think I did like three runs, like three longer runs to build up like a half marathon base, which isn't really building anything. And then I just went out and I ran like under a 130. Like, and I was like, whoa, like that was out without any training. And that was purely based off the work I was doing in Hyrox and like pushing pace and speed,
mm,
and hill runs and stuff like that. So it was like really cool to see it translate. So I've been trying to find a half marathon I could do soon, but there's just nothing that lines up well with my schedule right now. But it'd be cool just to kind of jump into one again and
yeah.
see where I'm at.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then you must be quite used to then the high volume training because I think a lot of people maybe find like it's quite a big jump when they really start to focus and try and train at that elite level for high rocks. But I mean, training for an Ironman is hours and hours and hours. So are you quite used to the volume?
Yeah, I would say from like a really young age, I've always been like very disciplined with like programming, and it's just kind of always been a strength of mine. If it's on the plan, I'll do it. And so that has never really been a problem. There's days obviously I don't feel like training, but like the volume and stuff is it's definitely more than I've ever trained before, I would say. Um, but it's all manageable and it kind of like sneaks up on you sometimes. And you're like, oh my God, let's say you did two running sessions. Like yesterday, for example, I had two like harder running sessions and then I looked and like I almost ran 14 miles yesterday. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Because it's like in like a
In
session,
chunks.
so you don't
Yeah.
realize. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you add it up and you're like, oh my God, I ran a half marathon.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Because he always like he'll put it in you have like a monostructural in the morning and like one session in the morning with a couple pieces and then technically one like in the evening or like if how many ever hours later you're supposed to do it. And you're like one like when you start adding up like the 2 mile cool down, the 2 mile warm up, and the actual
Yeah,
main set, you're like, all right, we're at 10 miles already. Like, holy shit.
yeah,
But yeah, there is a lot of volume, more than I have done before, but it's been for the most part like pretty manageable.
yeah. And do you train at home or do you train in a gym or?
I would love to be able to train at home more. We only have a rower and a skier here, which I would love to build like more of like a home gym where I could do some better stuff, more stuff here. But we go to a gym that's like 20 minutes from our house
Okay.
approximately, and we run Hyrox classes out of it too.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
And then you've got a coaching business as well, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about that and if people were interested in coaching or wanted to find
Yeah.
you, what sort of things you do?
Yeah, so my husband and I run a coaching business called The Holistic Athlete. And we're located obviously in Burlington, but we are looking to move to the US once I get my green card. Um, we'll relocate eventually, but we run our Hyrox classes out of a gym nearby. So those are the only in-person things we do. And then everything else is remote coaching online. And he also has a Hyrox, he has lots of Hyrox experience now as well, but also has a big endurance background. So he did triathlon for 20 years. So him and I together have like a really great combined like 20 years of coaching and like fitness experience. And the beauty is we have such like a diverse background. So I coach everything from ultra running, predominantly high rocks, half marathon, 10K type of programming. Any triathlete or triathlon programming would be my husband Mike. And then he also has a lot of like Hyrox athletes as well, and he has some ultra runners. So we do mostly one-to-one individualized programming. We do have group coaching if if people want something a little more cost effective or don't want to have one-to-one specific coaching, aren't ready to commit to something like that. So we have those two options as well.
Oh,
Oh,
that's cool. And
amazing.
did you find a lot of people do both? Like they'll do a ultra or they'll do Ironman or a triathlon and then they'll give Hyrox a go. Like, are you coaching quite a few athletes that are kind of like this new hybrid where everyone's trying a bit of everything and not so I am an Ironman, I am an ultra runner, I am a half marathon runner
I would
type
say
thing?
we have a few people like that. So I have one client I'm thinking about in particular. She's an awesome triathlete. And she's actually going to do a triathlon, a 70.3, like 3 weeks after Worlds.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I do all her high rocks programming, and then Mike will come in and add in her triathlon programming to make sure that it syncs well. Because I also think that's like almost like it's very hard in itself to make sure that you're balancing
Yeah.
what people need to perform well in something like a long distance endurance event like triathlon, but then also the conditioning, running, strength, and stuff that they also need for high rock. So it's like such a fine balance. So making sure that you have a coach that knows how to balance the two is super important. So I'll admit what I don't know, and I'm not comfortable training people for triathlon. So that's why once I finish Hyrox programming, I'll get Mike to come in and then look at it and then finish her the rest of the stuff she needs for triathlon, like all her swim bikes, because I'll do all the run programming. But yeah, there are a few people we're starting to see like kind of dip into both.
Mm.
But I would say a lot of people that we train are kind of newer to the hybrid. I know it's like such a whatever word.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a
buzzword
buzzword
now.
now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a buzzword now. But people that like to do multi-sport stuff or multiple modalities, we're seeing it a little more, but it's predominantly, I feel like a lot of people like to do high rocks and then maybe they'll do like a half marathon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
but they're still pretty similar.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because I think like loads of people have a similar background to like what you said, where people have done loads of different sports or jumped around from different sports. But like I guess the old like way of thinking about it is everyone was like, I don't know, if you did an Ironman, that's what you did, and you were like an Ironman. And then like if you were a runner, you were a runner. You went to a run club and you did running. And then if you were a cyclist, you would never be caught running because you were a cyclist, and you would only
Yeah.
cycle if you were a runner that was injured. And everyone just like kept so separate. Whereas now it's like everyone's decided. I don't know whether it's High Rock specifically that's because it's blended so much together, or it's like brought this new world where everyone seems okay to try different things and you maybe
Yeah.
can train for different modalities or different races at the same time.
I feel like there's
um
more of an appetite for people to be like, oh, I can do this, but I can also do
yeah,
like there's a
and it's
way.
acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And back in, oh my gosh, Mike, I think like, I don't know how long ago this was, but Mike was one of the first coaches to talk about concurrent training, which is kind of what we call hybrid training now.
Yeah.
And he worked with like Alex Viata. I'm not sure if you know that name in hybrid coaching. And they wrote the first template. Mike was part of writing one of the first templates for like concurrent training for triathlon and strength and how to
Okay.
marry the two. And I do think that is a missing link, I think, for a lot of endurance athletes is like the concurrent component and making sure that you are getting insufficient strength training. Obviously, you don't want it to impede whatever your primary sport is. But how can you make them kind of like coexist together to complement each other? But like my brother-in-law is a pro triathlete. So that's his thing.
Oh.
Like that's what he's like done his entire life. So we got him to do, it's funny telling this story. Like a few years ago, we got him to do the Hyrox PFT, just like
Okay.
the basic
Yeah.
fitness test. And I actually want to go back and look the footage because it was really funny. But it was like pro triathlete, and then me and Mike, who have done Hyrox before, my husband and I. And it was like a 20, it's like 20 to 30 minutes, however long it takes you. First run, for sure, he like crushes us on this run, but not too far behind, 'cause it's only a mile. But when you get into, I ended up winning, I want to say. But when you watch the footage, like he's like really suffering in a lot of like our movements. And then he told us after that, from that like 20 to 30-minute workout, he was sore for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
couldn't walk down the stairs and stuff. And it's just like it's so crazy. Like 'cause he's like this super fit, like, but it's just such a different level of different kind of fitness, I should say. Whereas he would smoke me in a triathlon, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's just like I think there's room for like how can you marry the two? Because I
Yeah.
think, you get strong, I think sled push correlates really well with like strong biking, and vice
Mm.
versa. So it's like I think there's always room to kind of like not saying you should do high rocks and triathlon, I'm definitely not saying that, but I think there's always room to like
Add
marry
strength.
like, concurrent training and see how it can complement kind of what your primary sport is.
Yeah.
Did that inspire him to do any more like strength training, or did he just go back to his triathlon and never give Hyrox a go again?
But I think he does do like I think he does do like he does do strength training outside of whatever his coach programs for him in season and off season. But I've never heard him say he wants to try high rocks again. I think I would love to see him and Mike do one together.
Yeah.
But maybe when he decides to retire from triathlon and is looking for something else.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, fair. That is cool. Yeah. I think it's so interesting, like different people coming from different backgrounds to see
Yeah.
like where their strengths are and what they find like easy or what they find hard in a race. Like,
And
yeah,
it's
I think
really,
it's
I feel like we're seeing a lot of like, triathletes come to try high rocks. We're
yeah,
seeing obviously a huge movement from like people from CrossFit trying high rocks.
yeah.
So it's really cool to see these different athletes that have these like very specific backgrounds and see how they do in high rocks because they're going to have certain strengths and then there's going to be stuff maybe that they're not as strong on because it's something that they haven't done for a long time, like
Mm.
they have whatever sport they're doing. So it's cool to see a lot of these different style of athletes coming in and trying the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what about for like obviously world champs is in like 6 weeks. What about for the off season as such? I mean, maybe it won't really be because I don't know when the race in Canada is, but like would you being such a varied athlete in like before high rocks, like would you want to do something for fun like you maybe mentioned a half marathon or like something to kind of like decompress a little bit from high rocks, or do you have any plans after world champs?
So I actually did have a chat with Anthony about kind of like I don't think he calls it off season, but
No,
like
I don't think anyone has an off season anymore, I feel like.
he calls I'm like, what do you call it after World Championships? What do we do? So I know there'll be like a focus like strength block. And like some of like the foundational pieces don't go away. Like there'll always be threshold runs, there'll always be like easy long runs and stuff like that, which I do love the structure. So I'm fine with that, but like I do want to try to find like maybe a half marathon because it's going to be over the summer here and I don't know that we have anything around where I live. So I might look into the fall, but then the fall it always like corresponds with like
Mm.
October, which is, our race in Toronto, and then November, Chicago and Dallas. And those are when our half marathons typically are. So it has to be about 6 weeks out from a race is usually like the sweet spot to race like another event before another event. So I don't know if it'll work out, but I'm gonna try to find something like a half marathon or a 10K, maybe even a 10K over the summer, even though I might regret it because it'll be super hot. But
Yeah, no, it's good to mix it up though, isn't it? It's good to like do
Yeah.
something else, but still in that race mindset. I guess to like push yourself and see. And I think it's interesting. Like we were talking about this. Like sometimes Hyrox doesn't always go how you want it to. The courses are different. People are always like, "Oh, I didn't get a PB," but you don't know whether it was the course or whether it was how you felt. So sometimes doing something like a running race or maybe a triathlon or a bike race or something gives you that feedback on how fit you are, how well things are going without having to race a Hyrox, which is probably quite an important, like for your mind as well as your body, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it like running races and stuff like that really like push you to dig deep in like different ways, which I think is
Mm,
all transferable and translatable to what we do in Hyrox. And I think to your point, like it's very hard, especially with like even with my clients and like, we always look at previous races historically how they've done. But if I've learned anything, it's very hard, like you can't really compare race to race because it's
mm,
like different venue. We all know like the laps outside the perimeter can vary in terms of like how long they are. It's supposed to be 8,700 meters with a rock zone and all that stuff. So that part is supposed to be standardized, but is it more beneficial to run more laps and less time in a rock zone because you're like
yeah.
not on an actual run course, right? So it's very hard to compare. So it's nice to have like other testing outside of that to really, okay, yeah, I am getting fitter. Yes, I am seeing this progress. And I think it's really important for people. And that's what we do in our coaching too. We have like benchmark testing we do. And so then
Okay.
we can retest people and then you actually have concrete data of, okay, I've replicated this exact test. This is
Mm,
how I've improved. Whereas in Hyrox, you can't necessarily be like, I've replicated this exact race.
yeah.
Like it's even when you do race at the same venues, sometimes they're different. Sometimes they're different orientations, makeups, different rooms. Like so it's like always good to have that like benchmark data outside of Hyrox so you can see I'm getting stronger here, my row's getting better, my run's getting better, etc. And I think that's really motivating as well to keep people kind of like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm feeling like I love to see the improvement. So I think like to your point, important to have stuff outside of Hyrox.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And then maybe before we go on to like the last questions, people are gearing up now for World Champs. Do you have any tips for our listeners, like whether it's on the race day at World Champs or in the last kind of couple of weeks leading up? Is there anything you would say to someone like to kind of give them a bit of confidence or help them be ready for their race?
I think a couple things. I think like leading up to a race, like visualization is always important in terms of like I actually heard this thing recently, which was really smart. It was like we always visualize like our race going well and like, okay, I'm gonna come out of the start tunnel. I'm gonna hit my laps. I'm gonna go into ski erg. Ski erg, I'm gonna hold this pace and this is what it feels like that type of visualization. But making sure you're also visualizing things that like might not go right, and then what do you do in those situations?
Mm,
So let's say like the race course is crowded and you get super frustrated. Are you going to carry that throughout the race, or are you going to let it go and then continue to try to have a good race? Or, your sled lane is heavy and it's a really heavy push. How are you going to talk yourself through those situations? So I think leading up to it, like visualizing and putting in as much of your training as you can and sticking to your plan and stuff and trust your training when you're there. And then I think when you're there, I think it's really just like enjoying the moment because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to be there, right? That maybe wanted a spot. It's getting way more competitive. So I think like making it there is already a really big win. So really trying to enjoy the moment, enjoy the experience, meet people, and just like try to make sure that you're really enjoying the moment, I think is probably the biggest thing because it's never guaranteed the next year either.
Yeah. I mean, that's
yeah.
so true.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
because I think it is like everyone's kind of just leveling up year on year and like the
Yeah.
margins are getting smaller and it's getting more competitive in the elite field and in the age group.
Everywhere.
It's harder for people to qualify in the first place. So yeah, if you're listening, take away from this to just enjoy it, like be happy that you're there and take it all in for sure.
Yeah. And
um
then you touched on, I just, because I find this interesting, and you touched on the fact that it's getting like tougher and it's painful, and like whether you're racing a doubles or you're racing a singles race, like you've got like you've changed your mindset and you've got to get your like mind into the game. Do you have any like tactics when like it's painful, like at the beginning of the race, like the run into the ski, into the run into the sleds, and you're like, oh my God, I am never going to finish this race, this is horrific. Like what do you say anything to yourself? Do you do anything? Like how do you get through that and keep pushing at the level you push at?
It's so funny that you say that because I was having this conversation the other day with somebody. I'm like, every time I line up for like the first run, I'm always like, "Fuck, this is gonna hurt." And
Yeah.
like my breath because everybody like LCQ elite like goes out so hot and you're like to like keep up, or like at least try to like keep them within view. Like I always try to stay
Yeah.
mid in those runs. I don't obviously try to lead them because that would be silly. um However, I think in those moments I've had a few moments this season, especially in Glasgow, where I was like, I could just walk off right now. Like
Mm,
this sucks. Like and I think I posted a little bit about it, but like in the elite field, like when you're struggling, people know. They're watching you.
Yeah.
You're like the only person
there's
out there
nowhere to
running
hide.
around the track, and and you're like, wow,
Everyone, yeah.
everybody's watching me suffer right now. Like I could just end this, and just decide to walk off. But I think the biggest thing for me is even in those moments that where it really sucks or like you're really suffering, I like will I essentially tell myself like I refuse to quit because once you quit once, I feel like it makes it easier for you to quit in the
Mm,
future. It starts to become more of an option. Whereas you're like, oh, like last time I stopped and everything was fine and I just ended up calling it. Obviously, if you're injured or there's danger to you to
yeah.
continue, of course, end your race. But if it's more of a mental struggle, I'm always like, I'll write words on my wrist, for example. Like like fight is a big one for me. And I just know myself and I know I'd be very disappointed if I just mentally gave up in a race.
Mm,
Um, and for me, like it's just always like quitting's not an option because I don't want it to be an option in the future. So that's like the biggest thing for me. And I think the more you push through that like mental resistance to wanting to continue, the easier it becomes later. Like when I am suffering or when I am in a race, I'm always like, okay, you've been here before. This sucks. It's fine that it sucks. It's okay that it sucks, but like we're gonna keep going. And then you start to just like you start to really chunk the race, like getting through one piece at a time versus thinking like, oh my God, I have 4 runs and 4 stations
mm.
left. It's like, what am I doing now? One foot in front of the other. How do I get through this? And then you start to like tick off chunks of the race versus thinking too far ahead where it feels more daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so true. It is so hard. I think, yeah, if you allow yourself to stop, it becomes an option in the future. And if it wasn't that bad and no one really said it, you've always got that option again then. Whereas if you don't allow yourself to stop, and then I
Yeah.
guess sometimes you get to the end of the race as well, or you have a second where, I don't know, maybe you come off the rotor and you feel a bit better and you're like, oh, if I had have stopped when I got to that sled pull, you'd never have got to the point where then you've got over the hump. And it's almost like sometimes that achievement drives you on more than a time or finishing the race. It's just the fact you got over that hurdle, isn't it?
And I think the more you do it, the more you realize, like, okay, I've been in this place before where I've wanted to quit, but I've been able to finish and pull through. So how
Mm,
is this any different? And I think like the more you prove that to yourself, the more you're able to sit in that discomfort and then talk yourself, like you kind of bargain with yourself.
yeah.
Okay, just like, okay, we've been here before. Okay, we've done this. We know, okay, this sucks. Yes, this sucks. We're just gonna sit here in this pain cave and it may get better and it might not. But if it doesn't, that's okay. But how can we keep moving forward versus just calling it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy, isn't it? Because like we try to talk to everybody from the community, whether it's like people that are doing it for the first time, whether it's like the badass gran who's 70, whether it's you guys that are at the top of the sport and the elites. Like everybody feels the same. Everybody, like, it's not like we chat to you and you go, oh yeah, it's like fine, I don't really feel it until I get to the burpees. It's like you're lining up in the tunnel going, this is gonna hurt, just like everybody else when you turn up to your
Yeah.
race. It's everybody's having the same feeling. It's just whether you can fight that feeling or how you can manage the pain, I guess.
And then last thing I want to point, because you made a good point, was like no matter who you are, whether you're elite, age group, whatever, we're all suffering just at
Mm,
different levels, right? So it's like the pain that you feel, like I'm talking to anybody, the pain that you feel in a race versus like like I don't think Lauren Weeks is like not sure, like not in the pain cave at any point in her race. She's pushing hard. How can you not be? So
Mm,
it's like I think there's almost like a little bit of comfort in this, like everybody's kind of struggling no matter who you are. It's not
mm,
just like only certain people struggle. I think we all do. And everybody, especially if you're pushing your body, it's gonna hurt. And it's like learning to sit in some of like the discomfort and who can sit in the discomfort longest and who can like suffer a little more. I know that sounds like
yeah,
dramatic, but it's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is true. It is like, yeah, who can push to the next level and stay there for the longest, like,
And I think
yeah,
it was like the race in, what was the last race? The last major.
Glasgow.
Last,
Was it in Glasgow? Yeah, when, because like Lauren said that, like Lauren and Joe were like having a battle at the front, and Lauren was like, "Oh, it was the best race ever because she pushed me so hard. I suffered so much." And I was like, so she was loving it because somebody pushed her on to suffer even
yeah.
more, to get more out of herself. And I was just like, God, she must have really suffered to say that she suffered, because
Yeah,
oh, it's great. Yeah, it is crazy. It's like embracing the suffer, isn't
Like
embrace the
iron
pain.
sharpens iron there, right?
it?
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, on that note, should we go on to the
The
final
note of suffering.
questions? The the first one being not about suffering. What shoes do you wear? Well, whilst you're suffering, what shoes are you in racing Hyrox?
Um, I actually switched, oh my gosh, switched this year to the Puma Elite Nitro. I'm saying it backwards. Puma Nitro Deviate
Elite
Elite.
TV.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, everyone. I think everyone calls them something different. Like the Puma, the purple Pumas, the green
Yeah,
Pumas,
yeah, the ones with the
the
carbon plate that
Nitros,
have,
the ones. Yeah,
yeah.
and you like them?
Yeah, I'm always open to trying different shoes and stuff like that. I've tried different ones on. I just find like once you commit, like the expense of the shoes nowadays
Yeah,
is really crazy. I was looking
yeah,
at the Mizunos. I tried those on, but they were like really unstable and weird. I know Lauren likes them. I think Dylan has worn them as well and potentially Rich Ryan. I'm not totally sure, but the Wave Rebellions. I put them on and they were like felt so weird and like but again it's like what you're used to. So I'm always open to trying other ones. The other one I was looking at was like Nike Alpha Flies
oh
or
yeah,
Flies. Those were my very first carbon shoe like back in the day. Um so yeah, but right now like the Pumas seem to be great. I like the return when you're running and obviously they have the grip for sleds which I like.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
perfect. Okay, which one's been your favorite Hyrox venue to race in?
Um, I would say the coolest venue in my opinion was Worlds in Manchester. It
Oh
was
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
I agree.
so cool and like it had those like older clocks that looked like Harry Potter vibes, but like really great. And I think that venue is like really special to me too. Just because that's when I placed well at Worlds and then I realized like, oh, like I can do really well in this sport. So kind of like both of those things. Like I loved the venue itself and then also it's just also memorable for me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good one.
it was a cool venue. Had quite a lot
Yeah,
of like posts, though, didn't it? And like poles to run around, and it was
Oh
like an
yeah.
interesting like run course. But I think almost everyone isn't bothered about that because the venue is so cool. Like with so many
Yeah,
people say it.
yeah,
exactly.
it's definitely a top pick. Okay, next up is what's your favorite Hyrox station and why?
I like well, the one I do the best on actually is wall balls. Um, I don't know what it is about wall balls. I can suffer through them. Um, like pretty decently well. And I think too, it's like a nice thing to have in your back pocket when you're in a race.
Mm.
And let's say you're like slightly behind, because I know if I'm coming into wall balls and I'm 10 seconds behind you or 20 seconds behind you, like you better go unbroken because otherwise I'm gonna pass you on it. So that's always been, it's become a strength of mine and like a really nice like card to have in your back pocket at the end of the race when sometimes wall balls are obviously are super challenging to do 100. Um, but it's something I can do with speed and I can do it pretty well fatigued. So it's like a good card to have, I would say.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is an
definitely.
epic,
Yeah,
epic one,
it's
isn't it?
because a lot of the time it is like you say, it's seconds, isn't it? And it can come down to like those wobbles and who drops it and who can carry on or keep going at a faster cycle rate. Like, yeah, it definitely seems to be getting closer and closer. So it's a good one to have. Okay, next up is if you could do a doubles Hyrox with anyone in the world, who would it be?
I have to pick this person because he'll get mad. My husband. Just kidding. But I think like because we started as doubles, it would be really cool. We both made really big strides in our fitness and in our Hyrox racing in general. So I think it'd be really cool for us to get an opportunity to race together. It just hasn't lined up because I've always been so focused on individual. But doing one fresh, I think we could do a really strong race, throw down something good.
So have you
Yeah.
only ever raced the first one and then you've never raced together again since the first, since like the world champs, like since the first time you did it, you've never raced since together? That's crazy,
No,
isn't it?
no,
I bet it would be
he
so
gives
different
me a
now.
hard time about it all the time.
Sorry,
Um,
just to highlight the point that you've not done it.
yeah, no, it's so funny. So if he'll listen to this and we will race again, I promise. So we might do it in Toronto. Might be good, just our home base kind of thing, but it'll still be a secondary race to what gonna do. But yeah,
Oh, that'll be cool
it's
to do
it's
it
on the
again.
horizon, yeah, full
it is.
circle on the
Promise.
horizon. Okay, next up is do you fuel for Hyrox, and if so, what do you use and when do you take it in the race?
It's funny because when I first started Hyrox, I'm like, you don't need to fuel. Like, what are you talking about? And now I definitely do. Because of like the pure intensity and like dying off in the back half is not fun. So I usually take two gels during a race. I'll take one usually around sled pull, and then I'll take one usually around row. And obviously all the fueling up before that. And I started taking, have you guys had like the Morton gels yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
consistency
struggle
I'd
with the
struggle with,
gel.
yeah.
I really struggled the first time I took it. Like I was like gagging because it was like it's like
It's
this
quite
weird.
thick, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's like thick and it's almost like gelatin.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
no flavor and it's sweet and it's just like if you're a texture person. So I choked it down, but I've taken like we can't get the caffeinated ones here in Canada, but I ordered them in the US and brought them and I love them. So like
Is it
I'm
the
for
same texture?
yeah, it's the same texture, just has 100 milligrams of caffeine in it, or is it 80?
I
Anyways, it's
think it's
just
a
good
100.
for like it's just good for that like jolt or
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
alertness when you're kind of feeling mentally disengaged or like super fatigued. You just get that like it takes Mike said it perfectly. It takes the edge off of a hard race. The race is still hard, but it takes a little bit of the edge
Mm.
off.
And
So
did you just like carry on trying to take it? Like how now have you managed to like be able to actually swallow?
Perseverance.
Yeah. Like because
I
I genuinely want to be able to take them because Morton gels do have such a good reputation. I just
yeah,
really struggle, especially if you can't chug it down with some water or something.
you like can't think. You just have to
Okay.
And then I hold it in my mouth and I'm like, just swallow it. And then because
Oh god.
you're
Okay.
like, it's almost like pressure to just get it down.
Get it
Uh,
down, yeah.
yeah. But in doubles, it's a little easier. So when I was running with Jess, obviously she'd be like sled pulling, I'd drop it in. But you just can't think about it. You just have to go.
Yeah, I think
Well,
more practice needed.
there's
I
some in the
know.
cupboard downstairs because
I know.
I got some from the London Marathon Expo. Like they were giving them out. So I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
we haven't tried them in a while. We did try them. I wasn't a massive fan, but I took some. So there you go. You'll have to try them again. See if you can do
Mm.
If
it.
you got those for free, they're like gold. They're like
Yeah.
$9 per
Yeah,
like
yeah, I know.
gel
And
pack. So
the carb mix as well. That actually tastes quite good. Like because the
I tried it.
consistency is better. Like it's like thick liquid, but like that I tried that at the like they had samples and that is actually really good. Yeah, I think that would be a
Hey,
good
I'm gonna
thing.
try that one next.
Yeah, people were saying they use it like before the race as well. Like there's one called 320 and like they would sip that in the morning before they race to get the carbs in. So I was like, oh, that's quite a good idea. Like good tips. So yeah.
Try that.
Something to try.
Morton fan club over here.
Yeah, I know. Not sponsored by Morton, but I'll just sell their products
do like
for
Morton
them.
shot and like start an Instagram thing.
Yeah. Get it in, hold it in my mouth, try and down
it. Okay, moving on. What is your favorite type of training session for Hyrox?
I would say I love a good strength day. Sometimes when there's like no intensity, it's kind of nice, and like just working on pure strength, I always liked. I do like threshold sessions. I think that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck, and like your quality sessions are super important. But I like the variety of training with the hybrid engine. Like I'm practicing and learning skills that I haven't really spent too much time before doing, like toes to bar, power cleans and stuff like that, which I like the diversity and just like the wide range of training. But I would say like as hard as they are sometimes, or like as like sometimes you're like, "Ugh," like threshold or double threshold days, like I do like those days. I think that's where you see like the most progress and the most improvement. But overall, I like that there's like a bit of everything.
Yeah, nice.
Had you done much
variety.
like CrossFit or anything before? Or is it just like pure like bodybuilding, like strength rather than
I
Olympic
went to
lifting and things?
I went to a CrossFit gym for like a year-ish,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. But I never really like fully got into it. I found like just like this how technical it was, and
Yeah.
like I don't love snatching and stuff like that, so I wouldn't really
Mm.
be into that or overhead squatting, but I do like power cleans, and I've
Okay, yeah.
actually been working with a coach here that's gone to the games, and she's helping me with some like power clean technique and stuff, just
Oh,
because
cool.
kind of like, and like my toast to bar technique, and just sometimes the smallest cues can make like the biggest difference. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to like learn those things. I love the athleticism around some of that stuff as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, next one is, in a nutshell, why should someone sign up for their first Hyrox?
I think because the training is such a great balance of everything. I think like, sometimes you see people that, like we've talked about, like in one modality or like one style of training, and then they miss other components of like a well-rounded holistic training program. I think with Hyrox, you get the best of everything. And then I also think the race itself is a lot of people that haven't heard about it, or you explain what it is, they're like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Or like people either get like super intimidated by it, or I find that people are either like, oh, I could do that, no problem. And then they actually suffer quite a bit
Get
during it.
humbled. Yeah.
Get humbled. That's the best way to put it. I think it's like such an accomplishment. I think because it's like, it is hard and it does push you, and it does, I think it's just such a great race, great community, um, and a really good test of like physical fitness, and a well-rounded fitness test, I would say, like test or
Mm.
race. So I just love everything about like the training it takes to get to it, the athlete you become, and also like the person you become in the process of getting to it. And I think it's great that there's like low barrier to entry. Like it's not like CrossFit where you have like super technical lifts and stuff that not everybody can do. And then they've made a really great effort to make it adaptive for people. So they really do try to cater to a wide audience. So I think like if you want to get fit, well-rounded fitness, challenge yourself, meet really great people. I've met some of my best friends in like the Hyrox community. I think it's like a really great option.
Yeah,
So
totally
true.
agree. Good answer. Very good answer. And lastly, is there anyone that you would like to hear more about in the Hyrox world, whether it be a type of person in the space or a specific person that we could speak to and find out more about?
Um, have you guys ever interviewed my partner, Jess Pettrow?
We have. When did we
Yeah.
interview Jess?
God, it was a while back now, but I feel like it would be good to speak to Jess again. I think so much has
Well, now we
changed with her
need,
since.
the
Uh,
proven like info, because I got that bit wrong. So yeah, we need a catch up on everything
I
that
think she
she's.
would be awesome. She's such a great person, great athlete, has made huge strides this year.
Yeah.
and works really hard. So I think she's also somebody to chat with.
I
Yeah.
feel like she's quite like you two are probably very similar. You like kind of just do your thing, keep turning up. Your name keeps cropping up and you're there, but you're not like, some people are like really loud and really you guys just like do your thing and just turn up and are just great athletes. There's like different people, isn't there? The different I don't
Yeah.
know, it's like personalities. Some are there more, but you girls are just always like there showing up, doing your thing, and everyone's like, oh, there they are again. Oh, there they are again. There they are again.
Yeah, she's like such a chill, like such a like relaxed. I mean, my experience with her anyway, super chill.
Yeah,
Um, works hard, goes after what she wants, and like,
yeah.
I've learned a lot from her too. Just training with her, like racing with her and stuff and chatting with her after and like super supportive person. So I think she's like a really, really great person and
Mm.
yeah, she'd be a great option to revisit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe it'd be cool after World Champs to see like
Yeah,
after
how
like
it goes.
how the doubles went as well.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to it? Is that the only race you're doing? Are you doing like an age group one or any other race at World Champs as well?
I'm gonna do age group
Yeah.
skills. I want to get a fast time. That's kind of like the goal for that. So it'll help me in next season.
Okay.
Um, and then we'll do that. And then likely, I haven't heard too much about like the country relay.
Oh
Last
yeah.
year, I was the captain for Canada. And so we'll see what they end up doing this year, how it works. I don't know. I haven't heard too much about it. So there's a potential for me to be in a country relay as well.
Oh yeah, cool. Because did you
Yeah.
enjoy that? That like totally different, like
Stressful.
Yeah, I actually I've done way too many relays and like age group races, and I was like, I'm never doing these again because they're always at like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm
yeah,
like
yeah.
super fatigued from my race, and I'm like every time I'm like, why did I agree to do this? But country relay is something different. It's like hype, it's fun. I met like people across Canada that I didn't really know that well that I ended up picking to be on my team that now are like good friends of mine. So just like again that community component.
Mm.
But it is. Relays are so painful. Like I told you that like feeling of when you're in the start tunnel for the like age group or elite race and you know it's like gonna take off. Like that's how I feel every time I do my two sections for like the relay 'cause it's like sprint. It's not
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not threshold. It is VO2 max. Like you
yeah.
are just
It's
like
pure pain.
yeah. So
Isn't it
most
on the? It's on the. Is it not on the Friday night this year? Like
oh
they're doing it in the middle of the.
Are they?
Oh, yeah, it's not at the end, is it? So wouldn't it be
no,
like the
last
night
time.
before the Elite 15 doubles?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Oh,
last time
that's
they did it on the Sunday to like close the
close.
event,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
nice. I mean, I was in a lot of pain. Like I was so stiff and sore from that elite race. But this year I think they're doing the women's elite are Thursday, I think. Friday is like age group and country relay, and then Saturday's elite doubles. So I'll have
Yeah.
like probably two races, and so will Jess before we race elite doubles, which kind of sucks, but
Yeah, it's quite brutal. That's quite like because
Yeah.
especially because you said it hurt so much, and then when I saw them put it up, and I was like, oh, and then they put the doubles the day after that, and then if people are doing like solo and then doubles, then they've lobbed a really
Relay in the
full on
middle.
relay in the
Full
middle,
send.
like
really is no joke, man. It's stressful and it hurts. So it's
yeah.
Yeah.
like,
I was like, oh my God, just to like, yeah, throw it in there for you guys. Like not just for like your body, but also for your mental, like your nervous system, just to get like totally hyped up right in the middle. I don't know.
oh, it's like
Um,
shot
so
stimulated worlds.
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Uh,
it'll be ace, it'll be awesome to watch. And yeah, I'm sure
It'll be
you'll
fun.
just get carried away with the atmosphere anyway. And once you're there, you're in it, aren't you?
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, so it'll be good for Team Canada to get another team in that relay.
Yeah.
Um, Maria, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time to come and have a chat with us about everything you've been doing up to this point, and then also, yeah, going forward to Chicago this year.
Yeah, I
Um,
really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
oh no, not at all. Where can everyone find you if they want to follow your journey? Is it Instagram you're on?
Yeah, so Instagram, so Maria C. Fecik, and then our coaching Instagram is like Holistic Athlete FC. Um,
Perfect.
so yeah, either one.
Happy days. So if you're doing an Ironman or an ultra, or you want a Hyrox training,
Whatever you
perfect.
need.
Or all of them together. Head over if you want to be the full true hybrid athlete. Yeah, so well, we will see you in Chicago. Best of luck for all 3 races. And
you.
especially the Elite 15 doubles. We're really looking forward to watching you and Jess throw it down there against all the other girls. I think that's going to be one of the most exciting races of the whole weekend. It's going to be wild, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed it, please consider following the show so we can get more awesome athletes on, like Maria. Also give her a shout, give her a tag, reach out to her, and definitely cheer on Team Canada, Maria and Jess, and Maria when you get to Chicago. And we will see you guys on the next episode.